Hi people, ladies and gents, boys and girls, nads and granddads, aunties and uncles and other people. What am I doing? It is a follow-up basically to the Honda NH80 Vision DX. Don't forget the DX. I have been riding that little baby to work and back and just anywhere I need to go, go and collect a can of petrol or to the shops for whatever reason. Just been riding it constantly. I'm absolutely loving the thing. I'm going to be doing an experiment rather soon. Let's come out here a bit. I'm going to see how far I can get on 1 gallon of fuel. See how many mpg it does. Well, let's uncover her. Because it's had a bit of a good shakedown, because I've been riding it for like, 3 months now? Something like that to work. Royal snail. There are a few little knickknacks that have come up after this, the initial shakedown, like I like to call it, which is basically you rebuild a bike and you put it all together, and obviously a couple of bits and pieces are loose here and there because that's the nature of the beast. So generally she's absolutely brilliant. There's a bit of water on there, it pissed down last night. Generally absolutely brilliant. I need to do something with the headstock, tighten that up slightly. I want to check every single nut and bolt. Now the exhaust has gotten louder. Now I don't know, Paul my friend Paul from Basingstoke, he did some welding on the exhaust stud hole, if you like, because it snapped off. Do you remember that? Well, he fixed that very kindly, very skillfully. And I don't know if that's given way or the nuts have come loose or something, but it's awfully noisy. And I know it's a 2-stroke, but it's more noisier than it used to be. Right, I tried painting that red with a little tiny paintbrush, and you see it's a mess, but from a distance it looks good. I've also noticed, if we can see here, see the separation of this. Now I had a good look round and I noticed that it's snapped off from that screw there. The screw, so something's broken there, so I'm going to need to sort of fabricate some sort of bracketry to keep that in. Unfortunately, up here there used to be on these two wings like a row of plastic along there, like a line with little, like a fence posts, if you like, and they've all snapped. They used to fit into a lug on here, and they have all gone. So I think that is contributing to vibrations that end and making that all loosey-loo. Everything else is absolutely fine. You can see I've put a few miles on it. Look, 1,416. I can't remember what it was on. 1295 or something, or 1195, wasn't it? Yes, I've done a good few fair miles. Nothing's fallen off. The restored top box is absolutely brilliant. It serves my purpose completely. I have purchased an actual Honda correct period front basket. It was actually for this bike. Unfortunately, the fixings that I've used for it, the rubber's gone because it's just Chinese rubber, so that's all gone, and the whole thing does this. It doesn't vibrate as such, but when you're going over bumps, the whole bike is starting to get a bit crashy. So I've got a horrible feeling that things are loose where they shouldn't be. So that's why I'm going to be doing... He's on form. He's on form. What can I say? That's why I'm going to be doing the shakedown and just taking it apart again and making sure things are tight. Little things like this. You see, the screw that holds that on, that goes onto like a tower, plastic tower coming in from behind, and unfortunately the tower's cracked. So I'm going to need to remove this somehow, and I don't know, silicone that into there or Araldite I did Araldite the post on initially. As soon as I put the screw in, it gave away, and that is that. Generally my fixes, my repairs have sort of held up. She's a bit on the dusty side. The chap that sold me this, it's basically sort of hot glued hot glued on this you know, this old Honda badge. I think it looks nice on there. I think it just finishes it off. So, but unfortunately the hot glue has given away here, so I can literally just take that off. So I'm going to need to either re-hot glue it or think of some other way of affixing that to there, because I like it there. I think it's good. Brakes are absolutely brilliant on this bike. I can be flinging up to a pair of traffic lights at, you know, 40 miles an hour, and I can stop on a sixpence, literally. People see me flying up and they think, shit, he's gonna go straight through. No, stop. Beautiful. What else can I tell you? I had to top up the two-stroke oil. The light come on, but what I didn't realise was initially when you put the key in and turn it on, that oil light comes on and then it goes off. So Muppet here thought that it was low, so I tried to top it up with some classic old two-stroke oil that Paul showed me to get. Where is it? Here it is. Proper old two-stroke classic stuff, and I've got to say the bike does run a tad better on that. Yeah, but anyway, there we are. That's that. And of course I put the funnel in there and I started sort of glug glug glug, and within a couple of glugs the thing was overflowing again. So it literally uses that much two-stroke oil, which is brilliant. And I've put many tanks of fuel through there. Now what I generally get is like 60 to 65 miles from full to empty, and that seems to cost me about £7, something like that. And the price of fuel is sort of £1.95, something like that, a gallon. So what I've done is I've got myself my fuel can, which is over there. I filled that right up. That was a gallon. As you can hear, there is still fuel in there. I don't know if you can see how much fuel's in there. Yeah, it's just on the bottom there. Just see it. I'm wiggling a bit there. So I poured it in. I poured that in, and it's now on just over half a tank, but that does sort of when you're going along. It started at 1369. So what's that? 47 miles? Is that right? Do me maths. So it's 47 at the moment. That's there, and I've yet to fill the rest of that gallon up into the tank. So that should take that up there. Now the reason I'm doing this is because I know it's a two-stroke and they're high revving bikes, but the difference between screaming its little arse off doing sort of 45 miles an hour, yes it does 45 miles an hour, it actually creeps up towards 50, and pottering along at 30 is a whole different universe. It is going, so this is what I've been doing. I've just been accelerating away and then staying at 30 pretty much. I've had a couple of races with a few people. You have to, don't you, because they think you're on a little 50 and it's like bye in slow motion, you know, past them. But yeah, so sticking at 30, I've noticed a huge difference in MPG. So like I say, I've still got that container to go in there to make the gallon, and then I should be able to get a true reading of what that does per gallon as opposed to a fill. So yeah, there we have it. Right, better get my spanners out and start spannering, but I think a brew is in order because I'm rather parched. I hope everyone's keeping well. Thank you for your nice messages and kindness. What's coming up after I've done the shakedown? I've got a week off work, so I'm in a good place. So Honda's going to get 100% ready for the road again for the following Monday when I go back to work. And I really need to crack on with this Ariel A3. I have the wheels to paint, and I will be doing that with Shot Blaster. There it is. There it is, the old medium blaster via the compressor. And I have bought some graphene anti-corrosion primer. There you go. I've been looking for acid etch primer and I just can't flipping find it, so I ended up buying that stuff. The place that I used to buy my acid etch primer from said, "We've never sold that before." Yes you have, because I bought it here. Ooh, Joey. So that was that. Anyway, I need to do a bit of repair on the roof. As you can see, my insulation has become uninsulated, although that in place does keep it relatively warm in here, because it has been stinking, hasn't it? Really proper. No, I've not been on the plonk. What I'm doing with these bottles now is I'm going to be scribing around there with my tile cutter, heating that little bit there, and then cold water, and I'm going to make some glasses. So I've not been on the sauce. I'm doing some constructive shit for once. What I also want to do is get the little FZ50. Bless it. I need to get this sorted and down the road. I was going to keep that, but the Honda all day long, it's hands down, it's the best little bike I've ever had, ever. It's awesome. I can't stress enough how brilliant that little bike is. Because it's an 80, it keeps up with the town traffic. It doesn't get in people's way, and if I want to really bean it, just to keep people happy behind me for a small stretch, you know, it will do. I'm gonna have to do a speed run on it, but I've had sort of 45 out of it. I'm sure there's a little bit left in there. It's still on the original Honda belt. I have a spare to go on, so that will be going on shortly. And I really need to sort out the kickstart. The kickstart doesn't work. Okay, it's never worked since I took it apart, put it back together. That's understandable, because I'm a bit of a novice on shit like that. But I did. Remember, I plastic coated some brackets. So I plastic coated a spring, and I think this spring is a return spring for the mechanism for the kickstart on the Honda NH80. Joey again. So that needs to be put back in when I take it apart and change the belt. And another thing I want to see is how far up on the variator the belt is riding. But by the speed I'm getting out of that, I mean, the book says sort of 40, 41 miles an hour, which is all you need. It's plenty. But I mean, since my friend had a go at the barrel, it is proper. And it's got a basic standard exhaust on it and all the rest of it. But I love it. I absolutely love it. Just got to give it that once over. Okay, enough babbling. The FZ50 has got to go. It is a decision I've made reluctantly, but the engine does make a bit of a noise when it's ticking over, and it's all been rebuilt. So what is doing that? I had a dry seize when I was testing it. I think there was air in the little pipe from the oil pump to the crankcase. So I think I've done some damage to either bore or piston, which should be a fairly easy fix. It's a brand new bore and piston kit. So a little bit of with the old Honer should see things right. But apart from that, it's 100% brilliant. Okay, let's get some spanners out. My God, 13 minutes easy. You can yak for England, can't you? Right, got the right hand side panel off, the left hand side panel off, and that piece is definitely cracked off there, broken off, and the rest of it is, where are we? Here, stuck on there. That. So I might try some Araldite and see how that goes, but obviously some vibration going on which has caused that to fracture. I've had a quick look round. Nothing's really loose and wobbly. You know, I said the kickstart doesn't work. I was right. Well, bugger me. Oh, there we go. It does work. It's just me, isn't it? Right, I have noticed something. This rear mudguard. Let's put that around there, like that. It's quite wibbly wobbly, so I've had a quick check around, and in there is a missing bolt. Now, whether I've completely forgotten to put that in, which looks the case, or what, I don't know. So I've just found in my Honda box an M6 Allen head set bolt sort of thing. I'm going to wind that in now with a bit of Loctite, just to make sure that that is then securely installed. This is okay. This is my choke effort. That's all fine and working dandy. When it's warm, you know, it doesn't need choke at all. When it's cold mornings, it won't start without a blip of choke first, and then push it straight in and off he goes. I don't know whether to really get into taking this cover off. I suppose I should do, shouldn't I, just to see how the belt is. It's the original belt. I didn't hold out much for it. Had a bit of that sort of iron rusty sort of stuff on it, but it's been performing brilliantly. I mean, it does smell quite a bit when I pull in here at night, you know, after a 9-mile run. So yeah, that's that. That still works beautifully for the seat. That's fantastic, although it's not on the correct panel. It should be in there, but there we are. It is what it is, isn't it? Everything seems to be nice and tight. I'm going to get my spanners out and just check around, make sure everything's tight under here and that I haven't missed anything out. Just double check it. There's no air bubble in that 2-stroke pipe now. That's fantastic. Oil feed pipe. I might just put another clip just around there. That's a part that's been blocked off of that carburettor, that cheap Chinese carburettor. I'm so impressed with that, really so impressed with it. It's fantastic. Just going to go around everything, make sure everything's buttoned up tight, and yeah, electric, all the lights and everything works perfectly. It's absolutely brilliant. But I really want to get off this panel here, this observation panel, and I need to remove the battery, because behind the battery, if you can remember, there is the holes in the framework where you put your 10mm socket right through on an extension bar for the 2 exhaust nuts. That needs to be nipped. I'm pretty sure one of those, or if not both, are a little bit on the loosey side. I didn't want to nip them up too tight, do you remember, because obviously one had been welded sort of back in. So yeah, right, first of all then, I'm going to whack that bolt in, bit of Loctite, and we'll go from there. Beautiful. Now you don't need to disconnect the battery on one of these. You just literally undo that clamp bolt, lift that up, and swing your battery out and around. So there's no need to upset the electrics at all. Right, so I'm glad I did that, because there's the 2 holes, and as you can see, there's one nut, there's the other nut, and they both, the top one had about half a turn to 3/4 of a turn, and the bottom one I did about a turn and a half. So that's just compressing that collapsible exhaust gasket seal. So that's good. I knew there was something not quite right going on there. It was awfully smelly, and that's that. I've put the bolt in on the other side. That is all nice and firm now. There's no play whatsoever on that, so that's all good in situ. Beautiful, lovely. Right, just need to get my screwdrivers out to make sure all these sort of things are tight. Got my spanners out over the other side. There they are, and I'm just going to go around now, making sure everything's all nice and tight. Anyway, there he is. Put a bit of weight on, just like his dad, haven't you, over COVID and all the rest of it. Right, anyway. Oh, it's good to be back, isn't it? It's good to be back. Right, what can I put on those brackets up front here to stop that little bit of play? Because that will add to the rattling every time I go over a bump, won't it? It looks as if that's just a makeshift clamp around there, like a P-clamp. So that's not fixed tightly. That might need some sort of looking at. And I'll whip these off quickly and take that old perished rubber. You know, it's just falling apart. Look, just tosh, isn't it? Just flipping tosh. I might get some. What can I put right now? I've got some inner tube. That's good rubber, isn't it? Old inner tube. That'll do around there. And I need to get the bike back away from the old Bergerer. Get that back out of there. Strip all that down and do up all the bolts. Make sure the bolts are all tight up under the mudguard there, because they did come loose whilst on the MOT. Either I hadn't done them up properly or whatever. Probably hadn't done them up properly, because I tend to flit and fart around, and yeah, they're proper loose. So Graham, the MOT guy, did them all up, but I just want to double check the rear wheel hub nut, well, the rear wheel nut, that wasn't torqued up to the correct torque, and there was no split pin in it. I don't know what I was thinking, but you guys know I've not been in a very good place. But out the pit, I think. It's all good. I get lots of waves everywhere I go. Normally in t-shirt and shorts, pretty much like this. Don't moan at me, it's my choice, okay? Obviously when the weather starts to draw in, there'll be coats and jackets and things and proper leggings and shit going on. So don't panic, alright. Yeah. Just going to carry on, I think. Just give it a few more twitches. See if we get on from there. That split hasn't got any bigger on the seat, which is good news with my fat carcass on there. I was riding, sat on the front bit, and now I seem to find myself sort of sat back a little bit. It's more relaxing, and it's even more fun to pop the rear pegs out and put your pins on there, obviously without the PPE flip-flops. So that's a really comfortable riding position. I find my knees sticking out when I'm riding along, which is nice and cool in the summer. But when I pull my knees in behind the fairing, I get another 10 miles an hour out of it. I'm joking. Right. Okay, let's crack on. Right. Tip 2 for the lads, lasses. Right, okay, lots and lots to talk about. Exhaust muffler bolts. I've just taken back out and put Loctite on. So that's all nicely clamped up. That bottom one, I've put a nut on the inside, a lock nut. So that is now absolutely solid. Literally everything needed half a turn. I mean, literally. Just gone around and checked all those bolts under the side, underneath there. Here, I managed to get that off. And you can see the broken off post, which I'd already tried to Harroldite. You can see it's a right old mess, isn't it? Proper old 2 and 8 that. So I need to do something with that. Now what I might do is literally Harroldite that back on there, clamp it like so, and leave it for a good few hours, and then get a small drill bit, okay, and go down through the thread right through there, right through the back, so I can get a proper little screw along, sort of like an M4, M5 screw right through, and do a nut up on the back. So that'll be sorted. Now, you know, I said it's a little bit on the clunky side. Yeah, that's why my Stitchcraft repair is shite. So that's every time I go over a bump, look, it's knocking. I've not noticed that. I think these two clips that are there and there, like on the top, they sort of go in, you know, there and there, and they've sort of held the thing together. So that part's been held on by this part, it's been held on by that part. Do you see my logic? Right, well, I've been through all the front there, cleaned the wheel up, look, absolutely beautiful. Gone round there with the old bike protectant spray, should we say. I've had that black cover off, checked all the nuts and bolts under there, checked the bolts up under there. So I'm kind of working my way around the bike, and now I've sort of stumbled into this. So, I mean, that is major, proper major. There's literally nothing holding it on. This side is rock solid, because this one didn't have the impact, did it, when it folded over. As you can see, it's still all, but it looks good from a distance. And if you sort of squint and look the other way, you don't notice it, which is good. Okay, right, I'm going to get my Harroldite out. I'm going to start mixing and affixing. What I'm going to do with this is I have quite a few metal brackets, so I'm going to put metal brackets on the inside. I'm going to drill and fix, so you'll just see screw heads this side. I know it's not pretty, but it's going to be permanent, isn't it? And then I'm just going to pour Harroldite all over that there, and put the handlebars up level so the Harroldite doesn't roll around everywhere. I think that's going to be a permanent fix. Right, okie dokie, bit of Harroldite mixed up there. That's stuff that I use. It says there on the label. Yeah, okay. Drill bits in there. Bracketry here. I just found a pack of 4 of these, funny enough. So I'm going to use screws, washers and lock nuts. The lock nuts will be on the inside. Incidentally, I've Araldite that peg in here and found these little springy clips. It's doing perfectly. So we're going to do that, and then I'm going to Araldite actually the gap before I put the clamps on, so that's all nice and tight. And then I'm going to go over it with the old paint your nuts, the old Honda Red on the screw heads under there. So yeah, another bodge. Good job. Bodging hell. Well, I reckon that's a result, don't you, boys and girls? Looks a bit Meccano, a bit Eve Robinson, but by golly, that is proper solid now. Luckily, because that was just about to refracture. Anyway, the post glued in. I'm going to get a really thin drill bit now and go right through the middle of there, not touching the post, hopefully. And I'm going to work it out and get a long bolt through there. Not quite sure I'm going to hold the back of the bolt. I hadn't thought of that, had I? Deconjure. I might just use a self-tapper. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Round-headed, soft-tip self-tapper. That should be good. Something along those lines. Unless I just... What do you reckon? Just spin that up on the grinder into a point. It's worth a shot, isn't it? It'll look original then, won't it? I'm really happy with that. The Araldite is in there. It's all doing its stuff. I've just got to give me nuts a shake and get some on there. And we'll have a look at it in a second. Right. It's all going well. You watch it go wrong. Right, I've had me brew. This is my clear see-through brew. Straight out the tap. No farting around with bottled water in this house. Right. Pretty much sorted out now. I have also put some of that chemical metal in there and pushed the front on. It's all Araldite. It's all ready to go. The underside is, so you can't even see it, can you? See, it's that well painted. Can't even see it. I've took the basket off for some reason. I don't know. I don't fancy doing any shopping today. Don't know. So that's that. That's all put back together. That's ready to go. Waiting to harden off so I can put that back in there. So I thought I'd take the cover off the side there and just see what's going on. Okie dokie. Well, I've just started the bike and revved it up, and this flange comes this way to allow the drive belt to go in nearer the spindle, nearer the sort of drive, if you like, which increases the revs of this piece. And this one, it comes in quite nicely. The rollers fling out, and this comes in quite nicely and drives it up. And you can see the wear mark on there, so that's good. Now, when you rev it, it goes out pretty good, and it whacks straight up to that line, and then completely stops. I'm just wondering if I can get it a bit higher, which would make this turn this faster. Well, no, I'm going to take it off anyway. The belt looks really good, I've got to say. This is that original Honda one, and it does look pretty darn jiffy. Now, I've taken out this kickstart thing because it doesn't work properly, and I'm never too far away from home if it fails completely. So, and I'm also going to take out this wiggly nonsense. It's the rest of the conversion for that, so that will all come out as well. I'll just have a oil in there, which is extra ventilation for the drivetrain, so that's not so bad. So yeah, I'm going to pop this nut off. 17, pop that one off. That's 14, I do believe. Yeah, going to get the air windy gun, whip it off, take that out, have a good look at the rollers, and see if everything's travelling to its maximum in and out, what it should be doing. I just wonder if I can eke another 10 mile an hour. I want to see it up the clock on the 50. Okay, that'll be cool, won't it? For an 80cc bike. Scooter. Yes, Winnie. Yeah, he completely agrees with me, don't you? Yeah, see? Right, let's crack on. Right, too many brews. I need to go to the loo. Right, it's all back together. I have properly greased the inside shaft there, and this part spins nicely now. There's not a notch in there. I had to use a bit of emery board on the 3 pins, just because there was a slight ridge inside the drum. Not this drum, the one inside. So that's sorted. That's all back on and polished, and I put a thin layer of lithium moly grease in the little indentation that's in the middle of this shaft, so that now slides in and out really nicely. Now here is the old belt, here is the new belt. Can you see the difference? My old belt is bigger by about quite a bit. Now, yeah, I am going to attempt to put on. See the numbers on there. I don't know. I know more about knitting than I know about these numbers, which says a lot, doesn't it? So we've got 2310. Oops, where are you? There you go, 2310 there. No, I'm not sure what that is. Whether that's, can't be the length, can it? And you've got GC8 and GC7, 040, 004, 003. 730 by 15. So I don't know, the width wise they're identical, depth wise they're identical. So what I'm going to do is just literally pop that one on if I can. I don't want it to keep the back wheel spinning whilst ticking over, you see. So I'm going to see how it goes. If it's no good, I will pop the original back on. Well, it's not the original, because it would have nip on it, wouldn't it, or something like that, or whatever, dents, I don't know. So yeah, like I say, so I'm going to pop that belt on now, run the engine up and see what happens. Oh, who knows? Belt is on. It wasn't too much of a fight. I thought it was going to be worser than that. Obviously I've had to squeeze this in with my fingers whilst putting that in there as deep as I can to have as much slack on there to be able to get that on and do the nut up a bit. Okay, right, let's. I've left the gasket off because it's all covered in grease and oil and stuff. I didn't want to contaminate the belt with any of that. So let's key on. Let's start on. Ding-a-ling. Okay, well that's okay. Do that with the back brake on. Sorry, back brake. Stupid boy, you have to put the brake on to start the engine. Of course I started it and revved it and I had the back brake still on. Hence all the smoke. But that flies in and out beautifully, doesn't it? And that flies in and out beautifully. I am so pleased. I can't tell you, but I just have. Right, I'm going to pop it back together. I might even leave that gasket out because it's not really doing an awful lot apart from keeping all the water out, which is rubbish, isn't it? And yeah, I'm happy with that. That's good. I might pop up and down the road on it and see what sort of what mark factor I can do. Might be warp factor 3. I don't know. Right, that chemical metal should be done in the front there, so I can screw that little grey panel on, finish the front end off. Right, I'll let you know what happens in a second. Right, we're rolling. I'm out in the middle of nowhere where I live, and I like it like that. And yeah, well, what a difference. Now I can overtake bicycles now, no problem at all. It's a completely different bike with that small belt on it. When it used to start off, go up to about 10, and then it sort of, the rev sort of increased a bit as the variator opened to about sort of 22, and then it'd go up quite comfortably to 30, and then getting sort of 35 it would vibrate a bit on your feet, and then 40, 42, and really being in it sort of nearly 45. Now I've just had 45, just whizzing down this nice long test track here in good old Palestine. So yeah, unfortunately there was a chap walking his dog, so I had to slow down, can't see him, and then sort of speed up again. But I managed to get between sort of where that big tree is and just before the giveaway sign. I was being in it at 45. So yeah, there's no more rattles and clunks. I've put that front panel back in, and it's beautiful now. It's proper sturdy. Every time I went over a pothole, well, the ones I could jump over, not the ones I disappeared into, yeah, rattle, clank, and I thought, well, either the exhaust is falling off or something completely awry. So I'm glad I've gone over it now with a fine tooth comb. I'm happy with the way she is, and I can't wait to bean it back down yonder. It's a good, I'd say a mile. It's a good mile, that hike down there, and I'm pretty sure I can get near the big 5.0, which is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. This machine is now capable of going out with all the lads on the Cubs, camping and that sort of thing. They do sort of 40 miles an hour. Perhaps being it a little bit around the twisties when we're getting near to campsite, or whatever, we need to make up a bit of time. So I'm really looking forward to doing something like that. I don't know if I'm going to get out on the Berger this year. I've got to strip it down. I've got to do the brakes. I've got to do the headstock bearing because that's just horrible. Supposed to be going camping sort of September, but I'm not sure what's going on just yet, so we'll have to wait and see. I'm pleased as punch with that. Like I say, the rear friction drum drivetrain sleeve was it looked like there was rust in it, but there couldn't have been rust. I wouldn't have put it back on rusty, but I've cleaned all the old grease out that I use. I used sort of general purpose grease, and now I put moly grease in there, which is sort of lithium based and a high mounting temperature, because that's going to get hot in there, and that drum with all that variation going on there and friction and stuff, so that's good. Right, let me beam back on my bike, shoot it up the hill and get indoors and clean up my tools and put my feet up for a jolly good well-earned rest. I'm happy. I'm really happy. I just hope now that Araldite's worked for that rear panel on the other side. Anyway, cool, super duper. Like I say, that fix is a good one under there. You can see it if you sort of squint, and yeah, it's kind of there, but you don't really notice it. You don't notice it, so good-o. I like it. It's a sleeper. Right, guys, thank you for watching. I'll wrap this episode up here, and take care. Hopefully see you soon. We'll be doing the FZ50 next, whipping that head and barrel off and seeing if there's any issue. If it's clean as a whistle, I will check everything out, check the wheel, the crank bearings and seals and stuff. I mean, it runs like a dream. Now I've got the air out the bloody pipe, but it's just got, and it pulls like a train. It's just got that noise when it ticks over, so I don't know what it might be, something, a washer loose or something, but anyway, I'll catch you again next time. Thanks for watching. Please drop a like down below. I'm nearly at 100,000 subscribers. I've only got 998,000 I've only got 98,400 to go. Oh look, it's a nice kite up there, followed by a seagull. Oh, I wonder if he's having an affair with it. I don't know. Who cares?